Well, special 4th of July to everybody out there. Today is the 4th, and I figured, you know, what a better day to bust out the vintage tunnel hole. Now, the last time I took this out, I was having some issues with the throttle, so we went ahead and bought some new cable, which this is the 4-40 pull-pull system for like typical rudders, and we're going to be using it for our throttle linkage. Now, I had taken this back apart. In the last video, we were getting some crankshaft rubbage on the transfer coupling down here at the bottom. So I took it all back apart, and I don't get the rubbing anymore. I went ahead and opened the drive line up and re-greased the cable. And I also put a new stub shaft here in the back, because the old stub shaft, if you watched the old video, it had a lot of wobble to it. Now, since I did that, everything is tight. I have subtle resistance in this, and I'm not sure if it's going to run due to that resistance. You know, I know nitro motors like to be 100% free. Now, that being said, I haven't even spun it over with my, you know, gun that goes in the top of this. Maybe the first 30 seconds of spinning it will free everything up. But, you know, heavy grease on the cable plus the new bearing bushing back here, everything's tight. So I just wanted to verbally say that out loud. If for some reason at the end of the video when we go to try to run it, it doesn't run, that's why. Well, here we are. I got it pretty much done. You know, I've got this little clasp here all hooked on, and I know some people are gonna get at me with this spring situation, but it seems to work, and I don't really think that's going to restrict too much airflow. Let's see if I can spread that out a little bit more. That'd be cool. I think it's kind of cool. It'll help prevent any large stuff from falling in there, but I don't really have a spring. Ideally, I wish I had a spring that would butt up from here to here, and then as I squeezed, it would push back. But this spring seems to do the job. The issue that I'm coming up with here is because the cable, stainless steel cable, the pull-pull cable, is actually smaller in diameter. So it will allow for kinkage. So if you see this, watch. See how it kinks over? So the other one was a little bit more rigid. Now and the other one you could just like hit it forward and reverse and it would push it. And what I opted to do, see how I've got the idle there? And then I can pretty much cut the engine off. Looks like now that I've got the camera on it, I've still got a little bit of an air gap. So I wanted to be able to shut the engine off just by hitting the back trigger on that. But I think I can adjust my endpoints on the W-Fly X9 here and adjust the reverse. Because even forward, it's not completely maxed out. And that's at 150%. So what that ends up being is my servo arm throw isn't enough. And I know I could bring it back a little, but I don't really need any more than what that's giving me. I don't think I'm gonna notice a difference. At this point, we just want it to run, you know what I'm saying? So blast pickup looks good. Everything on the motor looks good. I've got the spring for that, so we won't have like a wide open throttle issue where it's just going like hell. So I think what we're we're good. Let's check this. That's what I was worried about. See how the plastic cable gets taut? That's what we didn't want. Now that should be, is it? Yeah. I put plastic bonder. What did I use? It was the only thing I had that was fast. So this is 15-minute bond. So I went ahead and used that since this is plastic. But I don't think I'll have an issue. Let's check. Yeah, it's not opening up the throttle at all. So that was the issue we were having with the other one. The cable was too short on the old cable, and as I would turn to the left, it would tighten this and give it throttle. So that was the dilemma with the old one. But all of that happened when I stepped the motor out that little bit right here. So honestly, I think we're good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead, fill this thing up with fuel. I gotta go get my castor oil and do some weight measurements and some calculations on some paper to figure out exactly how much castor oil to mix with my fuel. And then we'll take it out to the pond and see if we can get it to go. We'll see y'all out there. Well, we finally made it out here. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, July 4th day. So hopefully we'll have a little bit of fun. Not really sure if this is gonna fire or not, but I'm gonna put it in the video whether it works or whether it doesn't. So I'm using an old janky go-kart stand. This is what I'd used in the last video. It kind of works out good because it supports the boat here and it supports the back of the motor to where when I push the starter down on it, it doesn't like tip the front of the boat up. But I think, you know, most people have a stand with like a 4x4 post and all this stuff that they've made to fit the motor to where it doesn't wiggle. But I think this works pretty good. So let's go ahead and turn the old W-fly on. Okay. I turned the VR knob into the dual rate knob. It's probably the coolest thing that I've learned to do because this button up here, it gets finicky. And you can go in the system and change your DL PS3 to the VR. And then you can see, watch what I can do with the dual rate. Center. And it'll set like, oh, I got too much turning or steering. Center, VR. It's so cool. Alright, enough talking about that. Looks like throttle's good. Okay, well, let's see if that'll fire. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention. I went ahead and swapped the props out. So you see what we're using now? This is I believe it's a 4214. What we had on here previously was a stainless steel 4714. So this is a 3-blade. I'm hoping to kind of like slow the boat down a little bit and not load the motor up as much. This is a prop that I had that I didn't really care too much about. So hopefully it'll work. All right, first what we're gonna do is just spin it without any fire. You can tell it got freed up right there at the end. Perfect, okay. Battery's starting to walk on me. Let's see what happens. You know, the problem with that is I can't. Well, I can still put my thumb over that. Holy shit, that like ran beautifully. Oh my God. Yeah. Beautiful. No, come on, man. Well, row your boat. Had to get the canoe. All right, we're back. I went ahead and upped the throttle just a smidge again to where we don't have that happen again. Okay. And it may still happen again. Part of Nitro, especially a 40-year-old Nitro. It's the best it's ran so far. It's only been running for 20 seconds. I've got excellent cooling. All right. I'm just kind of taking it easy at first. Slowly open her up. Trying to give it more throttle. Whoa! Damn. I saw you coming over here and I was like, what?
Would you like an egg?
No, sir. Miles walked out here to ask me if I wanted an egg. Totally distracted me. Took my eye off the boat for a second and sent it into the weeds. What I noticed on that quick little trip is that it was trimmed up too far. So it's still trying to pick the nose of the boat up. And if you do like hard cornering, it wants to roll it over, like exactly what happened. But what ended up happening is, if you see right there, there's grass that comes out about 15 feet into the pond. I hit the grass. It went right into the grass. But also what I noticed is that I was giving it throttle and it wasn't picking up. It was like hesitating. So I'm gonna say, and we would consider that like mid, you know? So if mid throttle isn't responding and we've got pretty decent smoke coming out of it, I don't know if that is too rich in your mid-range or lean in your mid-range, you know? I've got the mid screw. I don't know how far out it is. I think the medium screw is 2 3/4 turns out right now. So what I can do, I'll turn it in a half a turn, which is kind of drastic. I'm gonna, right there on like the brass piece on the carburetor, I'll turn that in 1/2 turn and then we'll send it back out and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I believe this is your medium jet, right? So like your mid throttle fuel adjustment. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in 1 complete half turn and we'll see what that does. All right, let's give it a go. 3rd time's a charm, right? Oh, that did not help it. That did not help it one bit. So maybe we're running lean on that side. All right, so we're going to go back the half and we're going to open it a whole nother complete half. And maybe a little bit in. Okay. Let's try it again. Damn, you see that? Blast pickup flew out. Oh man. I guess it must have did that. It's possible it just did that when it hit this, but I think I messed up that prop when I ran it into the bushes. That's why I was running a stainless steel prop. For that reason right there. Ain't that a booger? Ain't that a pain in my ass? Okay. Just vibration. Okay. I'm going to run it one more quick rip. I don't really care at this point, but I have to re-glue that down. But I noticed on that fire up, I heard a scoop, the same noise I heard inside that motor last time. It's spinning a lot more free, but I heard the scuff. So it's like it's walking again. It ran that whole entire time okay, until right then. Against my better judgment, but I don't care. I'm just ready to put this thing over to electric because I think electric will be more fun and less of a headache. So the boat's just sitting doing nothing like this, you know. Anything over half throttle, she tries to die. It's like it's too loaded up. Damn it. Yep. All right, come here, big boy. All right. And there's a reason why right there. I had to give her a good final send-off before we switched it over to electric. I've got so many plans for it, you know. We're going to try the K&B 7.5 bottom end with the electric conversion. And then after that, I've got a TFL outdrive, which we're going to put that on there after we do that test. So I just had to give her a good final send-off, you know. I need to crank it back up one more time and blow out any water that's in that motor. I'm gonna do that right now. Seemed like the motor was running okay, but it wasn't, you know, it was almost like when I was plowing sideways, it was cavitating and the motor was allowed to spin up and you can hear it rev up. But I don't know any other like RC nitro boats to where I can compare what it's supposed to sound like. I don't know if it's supposed to sound like it's lugging under a load or if it's supposed to sound like it's a wrapped out weed eater, you know? It's just hard to know exactly what it's supposed to do. And then the boat in and of itself is always doing something funky, trying to roll over. I think that the motor itself is too heavy for the width and the size of the hull itself. Everyone I've ever seen in this range has the 3.5 K&B on it. So I think that motor is a little bit of overkill, which adds an enormous amount of rear weight. So when we convert it to electric, we probably are going to put the battery towards the front and then move the servos and controls towards the rear. And then I'll get like a plexiglass plate or something with some screws, and we'll screw that down to where it seals the center cavity, to where, you know, we don't ruin anything. Because right now, every time it flips, I've got to go put this in a bag of rice. And, you know, it just is what it is. But let's fire it up one more time. Let's check throttle. Okay, that's good. Oh yeah, she's got water in her. She's hydrolocked. Oh look, we lost a steering rod too. Lord have mercy, son. I can do it like so. There we go. Got her free. She just had water on her. Okay. All right, let's see. Ooh. Ought to have blown some stuff out and shoved some oil back in her. Okay. is scalding hot out here, guys. Okay, that's all I needed to do to get her to run. Okay, all right, time to take her inside. I gotta go in the garage and clean it off. It's got an oily film all over it before I bring it in my pool room. All right, we made it back inside, and I don't know, it's just you get excited and then you get let down. It's a whole lot of that back and forth, but I know it's part of the hobby, but it's just infuriating, you know. Overall, I think we accomplished what we wanted from this project. I wanted to see if I could get a 40-year-old Nitro motor to run, and we did. I think the more I continue to run it, the more troubles I'm just going to continue to have with it because of I just call it crank walk. I think the crank is walking inside of it. I heard it. I don't know if I'll be able to, if you'll be able to hear it when I edit it. I'll know that when I walk back, you know, through the footage and whatnot. But there's just too many variables here to try to get this thing to operate efficiently. One thing I believe, so we've got these two outboards here. I'll just throw it in on this. I think we can actually bolt a Nitro motor onto this, and I have a OS 15. So it's a whole lot less weight of this OS outdrive than this outdrive. This is a 7.5 as well. I bought off eBay for 65 bucks. So this one's ready to go with a 707 cavitation plate. Someone had modified this, but it's in absolute impeccable condition for 65 bucks. So we've got the conversion plate here, and we've got two motors. This is a 3674 2070 kV, and this is a 3682 1900 kV. What I think I'm going to do is probably run this. It'll be a little bit less weight, similar kV value. I think it'll be just fine to do what we want to do. And then I also have another that's 2650 kV. I just think, you know, we don't need so much speed out of it because of the weight of this. We're just going to test things as stuff goes along. But I'm just throwing this in there at the end of this video so you know what is to come next. This one doesn't have a broken cooling tube. This one actually runs all the way to the other side, and then right here on that nipple is where, or maybe it's right here, is where you hook up your water cooling. But kind of unfortunate we screwed that prop up. Not sure if it was when it hit this, because I got a very small nick here. I got a pretty good ding there and a pretty good ding there, but the prop still worked for what we needed it to do. But I'm just, you know, tired of looking at the boat not being able to run it. It's a lot involved. Every time the temperature changes outside, barometric pressure, humidity level, stuff like that. Nitro is just very finicky, especially old Nitro. But I gave it my best effort, and I think personally it's time to move on to the electric conversion. So hopefully y'all will be just as interested in the electric conversion, because I've never done a Nitro to electric conversion, and I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen, you know. Because if the K&B 7.5, you know, lower unit does well with the electric conversion, I'm going to put two of them on a really big monohull, and I have to make a custom reverse cable to spin one of these in reverse, because they don't make a cable for this as a reverse cable. So that'll be, you know, probably 4 months in the future. So you're not going to want to miss it. It'll be something, you know, one of a kind. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this video. I know it's going to be, you know, a letdown to a lot of folks. This boat in and of itself, this little series, has done 28 times more views than any of the other boats on my channel. So 28 times more. Typically I get 800 to 1,000 views, and these get 28,000 views. So kind of crazy. So hopefully I don't lose y'all on that. But we're going to keep her as vintage as we can. I'm not going to take that motor apart. We're going to leave that motor as is, and we're going to use that lower unit over there to convert it to electric. So stay tuned for that. Thank y'all for watching. Hope you have a happy and safe 4th of July, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.